love it. I love it. But wow, there's a lot of people here. Okay, good afternoon. In previous ceremonies, many of you have heard the story of Team Providing Cover and our group of volunteers who have been sewing in support of the National Quilts of Valor Foundation since 2014. Today, I'd like to share the story of another Quilt of Valor group, On Eagle Wings. I think many Team Providing Cover members will find similarities between their story and our own.
This is a story stitched together over time. It started with a group of women who had a passion for quilting and a heart for those who have served our country. This is the story of the Quilts of Valor group from Gainesville, Georgia, called On Eagle Wings. It started with a lady named Betty Heathman, the wife of a Navy veteran.
I'm the group leader, and so I just told a few of the ladies that I knew in the Hall County Quilt Guild that I will start this group. And we started out with 6 members.
I think when we first started, we didn't realize, what it really meant to us. It was just another quilt we were making and quilting and everything. But then when you actually do your first presentation and you see how much it means to the guys, it changes everything.
The mission of the Quilts of Valor Foundation is to cover service members and veterans touched by war.
We go out either to their homes or to their churches or wherever they need to be with their family and present them with a quilt to thank them for their service.
I had one man tell me this is like a Purple Heart to him because it's, made especially for him. It has his name on the label, and it's just something that they will cherish.
You can just see it in the guys. Sometimes it releases things for them, and they're able to talk to their family. And some of the families say they've never uttered a word about their service until we come out.
Don't tell me big men don't cry, because every one of them had tears in their eyes.
It's very touching to be able to thank them for what they've done for us.
And we need more people to help us sew, because there's a lot of veterans out there that hasn't received a quilt yet, and we want to reach as many as possible. Once you do one quilt or see a presentation, you're hooked.
I can personally attest to the sentiment that the giving of a Quilt of Valor changes everything. Over the years, I've led and participated in more community service efforts than I can count. I've raised money, built houses, walked miles for a variety of worthy causes. But these awards, these one-of-a-kind and once-in-a-lifetime unique works of art seem to touch our recipients in ways that go beyond the bodily comfort of a mere blanket. Given in recognition of service and of sacrifice, a Quilt of Valor becomes a tangible reminder of gratitude and of appreciation, a reminder that can provide not only warmth to the body, but warmth to the spirit as well. To Team Providing Cover, I chose this video to show that we are not alone. There are others, many, many others, who share our passion for this cause. To date, in ceremonies like the one here today, the National Quilts of Valor Foundation has awarded 148,145 quilts in recognition of our service members and our veterans. After today's ceremony, that count will grow by 3. The 39 quilts that the team has designed, constructed, and awarded in the past 3 years far surpasses what I would have ever expected our small group to be able to accomplish. And from the bottom of my heart, I thank you all for your commitment and continued dedication to this cause. I knew I was going to make you cry, Susan. Would the members of Team Providing Cover please stand and be recognized? And now for the awarding of our quilts. And don't tell me that big men don't cry. Susan and Joy will be holding her quilts today. Bernard Kiefer was in the Army for 8 years before leaving active duty and joining the reserves. During those 8 years, he served our country both stateside and abroad, first as an MP and then as a police investigator. Bernard joined the reserves in 1991, but within 6 months, he was called for active duty to support Operation Desert Storm. He served in Saudi Arabia and Iraq for just under a year, doing his best to keep his younger charges out of harm's way. Upon returning home, Bernard continued to support his country in the Army Reserves until the terrorist attacks of 9/11 saw Bernie again being called to active duty. Initially, he was assigned with guarding the War College in Carlisle, but in all too short of time, he was asked to go back to Iraq and join the troops fighting there. For those of you keeping track, Bernie had originally entered the military in 1982. After 20 years of service, he was faced with the idea of leaving friends and family and heading once more into the fray. According to Scott Steva, Bernie's platoon leader during Operation Iraqi Freedom, Bernie could have gotten out of a combat deployment, but that's not the kind of man Bernard Kiefer is. He knew what needed to be done, and he chose to serve his country and again do whatever he could to bring home those soldiers who would be under his responsibility. While in Iraq this second time, Bernie did more than patrol, train, and protect. He wrote home frequently and encouraged his fellow soldiers to do the same, reestablishing that connection between home and front line. And when he noticed that some of his guys weren't getting mail, he enlisted his wife Carolyn to make sure that they did. It was through these letters and care packages that Bernie worked to ensure his fellow soldiers would not feel alone. Bernard Kiefer, please rise. In recognition for your service to our country and to your commitment to your fellow soldiers, please accept this Quilt of Valor with our gratitude and know that you are not alone in our love for our country. Thank you. By definition, a quilt is a multi-layered construction consisting of a top, a warm inner layer called batting, and the back. The process of securing the 3 layers together with thread is called quilting. And any of our Team Providing Cover members will tell you that it's this process that becomes our bottleneck to the completion of our Quilts of Valor. We have very few volunteers who have the equipment necessary to complete this process, so when Kylie Ferens, a young mother and professional quilter, offered up her time and equipment to the completion of our quilts, the team was ecstatic. It was only after she had completed several for us that we discovered why she shared our passion for this cause. Her reason? The respect and pride she held for her uncle, Lieutenant Colonel Brian Crandall. After obtaining his undergraduate and master's degrees, a young Brian Crandall was awarded an Army scholarship to further his education, a scholarship that he put to good use at the University of Kansas in his pursuit of becoming a clinical psychologist. In 1995, Brian Crandall completed his residency and began his active military service. Over the following 20 years, Brian Crandall has made a career within the military, committing himself to the understanding, prevention, and relief of psychologically based distress that is all too often faced by our soldiers. In the 2 decades since he began active duty, Colonel Crandall has supported this mission in a variety of ways. He has worked in an outpatient mental health clinic. He has been the chief of child psychology in the Tripler Army Medical Center. He served as the director for career and personal development at the Military Academy at West Point. He has completed 6 tours overseas, including a year-long combat tour to Iraq and another to Afghanistan. And for his service, Colonel Crandall has received numerous awards and honors, including 2 Bronze Stars, a Meritorious Service Medal, and an Army Commendation Medal. That Kylie's nomination called out her uncle's commitment to family, in addition to his scholastic and service achievements, is telling. Brian Crandall is not only an accomplished officer in the United States Army, he is a husband of 30 years, a father of 4, and a grandfather of 1. Colonel Crandall, will you join Susan and Joy? Colonel Crandall, in appreciation of your ongoing service to our country and of your commitment to the well-being of your fellow soldiers, it is my honor to present to you this Quilt of Valor. May it be a tangible symbol of the pride you have inspired, not just within your niece, but within those of us here today. Thank you. Sergeant Rob Easley was first deployed overseas in 2008. Part of the 10th Mountain Division out of Fort Drum, New York, Rob served in the infantry in Iraq for a little over a year that would see 3 members of Rob's 8-person team killed in action. When he returned home, in spite of the tragedy he had experienced in his first deployment, Rob chose to increase his value to the U.S. Army by deepening his skills as a soldier. He chose to tackle the schooling necessary to become a technician, specializing in explosive disposal. Eventually, like Colonel Crandall and Bernard Kiefer, Rob was asked to complete a 2nd combat tour to the Middle East. In January of 2012, Sergeant Rob Easley was deployed to Afghanistan as part of Operation Enduring Freedom. 10 months later, on October 15, 2012, Rob was called to disarm 2 discovered IEDs, standard procedure for an explosive ordnance disposal technician. It was when he was approaching the site of the 2 IEDs that Rob stepped on an undiscovered 3rd. The resulting blast shredded both of Rob's legs and severely damaged his right hand. In an instant, Rob Easley, the former high school rugby player and avid Pittsburgh Penguins fan, was changed forever. His injuries resulted in the loss of both of his legs above the knee, as well as the partial loss of his pointer, middle, and index fingers of his right hand. So instead of continuing with their plans to run a half marathon in Dublin, Ireland, Sergeant Easley and his wife Megan set their sights on a goal that proved much, much harder than training for a marathon: learning to walk again. In this, unfortunately, Rob is not alone. More than 1,500 U.S. soldiers have returned home from Iraq and Afghanistan less than whole, having sacrificed 1 or more limbs in their effort on the war against terror. But you only have to Google Rob Easley and watch one of the many videos documenting his recovery to see that this tragedy has not broken his spirit or dented his love for our country. Bob and Lily? Rob and his wife Megan are not here with us today. They recently moved to Florida and are currently building their forever home. In their place, I'm honored to present this quilt of valor to Rob's dad, Bob, and Megan's mom, Lily. With this quilt, please pass on to Rob and Megan our deepest gratitude for his service and for his sacrifice. When a soldier is deployed, friends and family are left behind to wait and to worry. When a soldier comes home, it's these same loved ones who are left to pick up the pieces, to stitch the soldier back into fabric of home and of family. To the loved ones of Bernie, Brian, and Rob, you are the inspiration behind their service and the thread that keeps them together. Please take a moment with me to recognize the recipients' loved ones who could be with us here today. I'd also like to thank our 3 nominators, without whom we would have been unaware of these heroes in our midst and unable to recognize them here today. Carolyn, Sharon, and Kylie, thank you. In closing, I'd like to thank everyone for the recognition of our veterans and service members on this Veterans Day. But I'd also like to remind you that our soldiers are out there every day of the year, defending the liberties and the freedoms that we, as civilians, sometimes take for granted. I encourage you to find opportunities beyond just November 11th to express your appreciation for their service and their sacrifices. It's a small thing to say thank you, but it goes a long way to making sure our soldiers know that while we may not be standing beside them, we are always behind them, and they are not alone. Please welcome Michelle Fox for the singing of God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Welcome back, Deb Gorpsey, for closing remarks.
I certainly cannot compete with that. Should not have gone last. Thank you all for coming. I hope that you enjoyed the event as much as we all did. Thank you to the symphony in the back of the room, and Alan and Shelby and the network team, and everyone who participated today in making this event as special as it was. So certainly, you do not have to run out when the event is over. There's some refreshments in the back. Kim, wave your hand there, right near Kim. So please feel free to spend some time socializing and getting to know each other even more. And thanks again for coming.
Thank you.